Happy Saturday, I guess, ladies and gentlemen. Some more bad news. Well, I figured out why so many, especially now recently, like it wasn't even like a week, maybe less than a week, and then Asmongold comes out with this video about some like crazy ass, trans, mentally deranged retard who's like he stabbed a kid in her neck and then got released on bail. And the title of that video was "This Will Radicalize a Generation," which it will most likely. um, but like, why is there such a parallel between lonely people, terrorists, and now trans, specifically men, but also like that one woman who went out and shot a bunch of people. I mean, sorry, a bunch of kids actually. Went to like a little elementary school. And again, with I got it wrong about this high school shooter. Oh, he didn't go to high school. He went to like I think like a junior high. I'm a little unfamiliar with that. So it's like it has like 11, 12 year olds and like really young people. And he did it on purpose. And he shot a teacher too. So the vigil was just for show. I find it so ironic that it's like in the wake of this new gun reform that we have such like massive crimes, and then like all around America they're dealing with this stuff too. They want these kids to change their gender, to become homosexual, to like be accepting of homosexuals, to become bisexual, to become nothing basically. Because it's like the same way that you could live vicariously through kids. Like you have certain teachers and certain parents that will like be too obstructive to a child's growth when it comes to like let's say a sports team or like just academics in general, right? And even though these are becoming more like of a rare case where we used to have teachers that cared for the students is because they developed like a huge ass relationship with them, and then they like when they parted ways with them it was like harder for them to do that. So most teachers had like a shelf life of about like 12 to 20 years tops, and then they got to get out of it because it's just like meeting new faces all the time and having to like remember all these names will just like destroy somebody from within. That's why the teachers unions are so like wealthy. They own the Maple Leafs, they do this, they do that, and that's why we're having this like very hard to grasp realization that these crazy people who have been pretty much given almost a non-responsive discretion, if you will. So it's like there is no response to their psychopathy. It's just like okay, I'll just let him out on bail, and like this guy isn't necessarily like special when it comes to this. Like a lot of people in Canada are getting let out of bail on bail and stuff. I heard this one guy got his house broken into, and then he attacked him with like a weapon or a hockey stick or something, and he got charged. Our justice system is a joke, and I think it's done purposefully to give criminals a chance. Just giving them the ability to blend in with society, so that like the Epstein's and Bill Gates is coming out and he's talking about adding some kind of social credit system to India to keep track of everything and everyone. I mean, this guy thinks he could walk away from all those pictures, accusations, and shit, and like possibly insulate himself behind enough armed guards to like protect. No one's gonna listen to this fucker, man. And that's why like the desperation when it comes to like the foundational schisms of these people. So like take a guy like Bill Gates. He got his career from like basically stealing Steve Jobs and shit. They all knew each other, you know, buddy buddy, at least at that time. And then he like, you know, got all that money like in his 20s and shit. More money than he knew what to do with, and then he rubbed shoulders with like these really really bad people. And the thing with Jeffrey Epstein that like I think a lot of people, specifically Andrew Tate and the red pill right winger wannabes, whatever, right? What they get wrong about it. He was the fall guy, dude. He was the guy who hooked up the meetings and this and that. But beyond getting like a very healthy salary to do so, mostly to like keep his mouth shut about this and that, like he was inevitably maneuvered into that position to take the fall for all these guys, to take the fall for the Clintons, to take the fall for Gates, to take the fall for this Mohammed bin Salman or some shit like that. I don't know. Some guy who's like, you know, the major port, you know, tycoon in Dubai. Talking about torture videos and shit. You know, and that's why they're like this. The unfortunate truth is there are always people, right? But you take their money away, and then like it exposes like the desperation of them. So like this trans shooter guy who's like, you know, 17 and shit. When I heard that like, you know, tried to like effeminize this picture and shit to make him look more female presenting, to like be more sensitive to the trans community. I say fuck the trans community. That's all I gotta fucking say. You know what I mean? Like if it comes to like the safety of kids versus like their hurt feelings, dude, I'm gonna hurt your fucking feelings to the end of time, dude. Like, why are we like having this discussion about like you're this, you're that, and this guy like who's like in this video clip that Asmongold was showing, like you know when you feel like the guilt and you have that like you know at least a little bit of remorse for what you did, or like this unshakable anxiety that like what you did was wrong and like you know you have to pay for it. This fucker got behind a fucking camera, started filming, talking about his own like personal mental health and this and that, and then like talking about like how he stabbed the shoulder. No, you stabbed the aorta. You stabbed her in the, like the fucking clavicle, the neck area, around her like you know major arteries, and she's been on a tube. Okay, and it's yeah. I actually gotta check back because the details were a little bit they're a little bit harsh. So I'm going to I think like the age of the individual was like really really young. So just give me a second. Oh, I gotta just pause it one moment. Yeah, it was really bad. So it's his own kids, his 7-year-old son and 8-year-old daughter, and the 8-year-old daughter has throat severed, and she's on a tube. Yeah, this will definitely radicalize an entire generation of people. Like the trans movement's dead, dude. It's over. It's finito. Like you gotta stop playing pretend. Like if you wanna like you know be that guy who goes through this fucking bullshit. And like, yo, can you think about the possibility of a world where you could have a kid? Like, think about that for a second. Like, what the fuck is that kid gonna look like? Is it gonna be a human being? And like, you know what I mean? Like, you take for granted, like, how you put together how women have, like, whatever mammary glands and like the uterus, all that stuff that, like, feeds you through your, you know, um, umbilical cord. And then you get a guy, and then you change his like internal hormones into that of a female. And like, can you honestly think to yourself at like the most important junctions of the stage of the development, like the baby's gonna turn out fine? Like, yo, you're playing make believe. Like, if you want to stick things in that, like, wannabe vagina of yours, like, yeah, play pretend, okay? Like, fine, fine. We gotta like call these men women. We gotta let these fuckers in the the female bathroom. I went to Yorkdale, and there's like a specific bathroom for these people. And like, yeah, I get it. Eventually, you're gonna run into them, but it's like, at what point do you think, like, your concern over their safety jeopardizes the safety of not only yourself but like pretty much everybody? Because now you have these fucking psychopaths that will never be accepting of themselves and accepting of each other, and then they just turn around and like they spit on society, basically. Think about it, like, you vote in elections, right? But then you ask yourself, what happens if there's people out there to just vote against you just to spite you? And it's like people like this, man, right? Kill his own kids, or stabbing them, basically. Same shit, basically. Mentally deranged individual. Guy takes a gun, goes to like an elementary, junior high school, whatever, shoots a bunch of kids. Excuse me. Proper justice would have been him going to a jail cell and just meeting, the same kind of treatment that he gave out to those kids. He just received it, tenfold, way worse. But no, he took the easy way out. And then, just like them, you have all these like incel guys who pretty much do the exact same thing. They just get a gun and they blame the world, this and that. Whether it's a breakup, job, money, or something like that. Right? Oftentimes it's a girl. But like, then they blame everybody. Or that it's like bullying, right? Oh, and speaking of which, so like it's like almost a given that every single time like something bad or tragic happens, somebody wants attention, and then they just have to like say something dreadful, like, oh, that guy who shot all those kids, he's also a victim. And the person was She-Man, whatever the fuck, was like looking dead into the camera as they're doing this, and it's just like, the fuck, dude. Like, you like the fact that like people lost their children. You like the fact that like the people who like have to lose their own kids and shit. Like, we're like, yo, what the hell did they do? Like, they don't even know this kid. Like, I was so wrong about this. I thought like it was just like a high school, and then like, it was, bad blood. Nah, it's just some guy who just hates the world, and like, he wants to be a woman, but he can't be a woman because he's a man. I mean, I think women can do that, I guess, outside of like, put on a penis and just, you know what I mean? Like the surgeries, these make believe things that, people are doing are just that. They're make believe. And then like ask yourself, what happens if you're outside of the first world and you don't have money? So like, you know what I mean? Like, you could argue that the trans people are like those guys who are like, they're sick in the head. They have those like sexual deviant proclivities, right? A lot like Bill Gates and like all these other sickos in the Epstein files. And then right? As you go down, the ladder of all these people, Harvey Weinstein, all these like, other celebrities, and then you start getting to the basic individual, that's when you start to realize like some of these guys, like in majority, like, and I'm not saying that like nobody in Hollywood goes the trans route. I'm just saying that like there is a majority of people who do this, and they tend to be either middle or lower income, and it's just a first world problem. So they're like in a first world country, but they're not, necessarily like capable of doing what they want, basically. Whether it's like torture, whether it's like these things that people we're all finding out now that people have a fetish for. Like the 50 Shades of Grey movie was very much uh, a deep and secretive desire that society was holding on to. And even though people would, you know, deny it, granted, like, it was a very popular movie and it had Beyonce in it and everything. And now it's just, it kind of makes a sick and twisted um, point, that like the kinds of people who can't divorce themselves from the evil in our world are destined to like, you know, drag us all down with them. They can't, give in to like the truth that they have to like lose. They have to be defeated. They have to be walked on. There's winners and there's losers in this world. And unfortunately, the losers, when they fight back, they want to fight and kill innocent people. And the only way we could defeat them is by beating them at their own game. If they want a fight, we'll be the biggest target the world will ever see, because the easiest thing to do is to be the loudest one in the room. We can copy them. We can be the target and take away, the infamy from innocent people. Just make it so that you're their enemy and that kids are safe. I know it sounds crazy, but just hear me out.